What's going on, everybody? It's Dylan from the Bottom Line View back again for your NXT review for January 18th, 2017. Back once again to do NXT every single Wednesday. If you guys enjoy these reviews, spike the like button as always. Of course, comment below your thoughts on NXT this week. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Bottom Line View. I know there's been a lot of subscribers here in the last couple of weeks, so we appreciate you guys. We appreciate newcomers from across the world. We appreciate you all for being subscribers to the Bottom Line View, because it helps us. You know, it looks us like we're putting in the work, and we see that we're getting the fan base that we like. So we appreciate you guys. Today I'm here to talk about the newest episode of NXT. There's some good stuff and bad stuff as always. Not the greatest episode in the world. Kind of a little too fast-paced at times, and some stuff that really just didn't matter to me. But we did get some announcements for some upcoming matches to NXT TakeOver San Antonio. So that's good. We did get a contract signing between Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura, so we're going to get to see them interact for the first time since that match was announced a couple of weeks ago. And there were some good developments on some storylines. So let's go ahead and get into the show. So first off, we have Sanity coming out. We're kind of interested to see what's going on with them, but it's going to be a Nikki Cross match. Of course, they announced earlier on in the show. It was kind of like teased last week at the end, but we were pretty sure it was going to happen, and it was announced this week that it's going to be a fatal four-way match for the NXT Women's Championship as Asuka defends her title against Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, and Nikki Cross. And we're basically getting to see Nikki Cross wrestle in one match before she gets in the TakeOver special. She hasn't wrestled a lot on NXT television. They just haven't really done that much with her in the ring. So they decided to throw her in with what I call Jamoke female. In the description, I put Jobber Wrestler because I don't know how to spell Jamoke. But yeah, she faced a Jamoke, a women's wrestler. Basically just gets over the viciousness of how cruel she is in the ring. She hits a snap neck breaker for the win. And yeah, she basically just goes over. Basically just shows how dominant she could be in the ring and what's going to happen in a week and a half at TakeOver. Which, by the way, let me use correct English. Mitch, Kevin, and I will be on the review, so check us three out on that review January 28th, the night before Royal Rumble. So you want to check that out. Next up, we had Noah. Oh, by the way, that first segment was okay at best. It really didn't matter to me. Noah Jose is backstage. He says he's asked what is his goal in 2017, and he says, you know what, my goal is to have fun in 2017. You know, fun, fiesta. That's all he does. And then Kona Reeves comes to the interview, and I'm like, who cares? You're jobber number one. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I literally wrote down the Hawaiian dude because I forgot his name, and then I just remembered that like a few minutes later. I'm like, that's depressing if I don't know your name, buddy. He says, you know what? You left me for dead with Sanity back at the TakeOver Was it TakeOver Brooklyn? Yeah, it had to be TakeOver Brooklyn. Holy shit, this guy is still feuding for 7 months. He's still pissed off about what happened, like, not 7 months, but like 5 or 6 months ago. Like, holy shit. Basically because No Way Jose helped Rich Swann out when Rich was getting beaten up by Sanity, but he didn't help Kona Reeves, so they're going to fight about that. And No Way Jose is like, you know what? We can get in the ring. We can either fight or we can have a fiesta. Either way. So I'm guessing they're going to have a match next week. They did not have a match tonight, so that's what I'm guessing one of the matches next week. I don't care. I really don't. It really doesn't interest me in any way. I do like my boy No Way Jose, but they need to give him some real feuds, please, for Orlando. Next, we have Revival backstage, and I was quite interested to see what they were going to do with the Revival because of the fact that last week they lost their NXT they didn't lose the tag team titles, but they lost their rematch. So they lost the tag team title rematch, and they have no more opportunities at the NXT tag team titles. And the Revival were like, you know what? 2016 was the year of the Revival. They made tag team wrestling. They said that it should be re-announced to be a triple threat at TakeOver based on the name's power that the Revival give, of course, because they're the Revival. They say that they are the best and they should be tag team champions. So basically, DIY are still holding their belts. TM61 appear out of nowhere, and you know what? They're like, you know what? You guys just whine. You lost your opportunity to get the tag team titles, and you should just move on and fight. And Dawson's like, you know what? I really like you guys. You know, you're young, you're talented, but you're also a bottom feeder. You're at the lower end of the tag team spectrum here in NXT. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to back down from a fight. So tonight, we're going to fight you guys. So it's going to be Revival versus TM61 later tonight. I was very interested to see how that was going to go. And then I heard some news later on that I'll give you guys that it really hurts that feud going on there. Roderick Strong takes on Steve Cutler. Absolutely did not care about this match. Steve Cutler is a jobber. And my problem with Roderick Strong here in the NXT, and I know both Mitch and Kevin were going to talk about this in the review, even though they don't they don't watch NXT every week. The problem with Roderick Strong here, the Messiah, the Backbreaker, is the fact that they have no character for him. I did not watch the Fatal 4-Way Elimination number 1 contenders match a couple weeks ago because I was gone. They didn't really develop anything with him. The guy has no character, no interest. I liked him with Austin Aries. I thought that would have worked perfectly. And, of course, yeah, Austin Aries is out with an eye injury. But the problem here is the fact that there is no character. There's nothing for me to get invested. So I was very bored by this match. He can hit hard, and he can do a couple of good moves in the ring. But again, me not knowing Roderick Strong, and this is one of the few times I can relate to the fans of the WWE Universe in terms of like a casual fan. Because I know a lot of these indie guys when they come in. I don't really know that much about Roderick Strong. Heard the name, haven't watched a lot of matches. So I'm coming in here wanting a character and development, and we have not gotten a single lick of that. He did win this match with what they're calling a sick kick, which needs to be changed because I think Mickey James is calling for the Mick kick. I don't know. It's one letter difference. So Strong wins. Strong was asked about Cien Almas and his comments last week because these guys have been going back and forth. And you know what Strong says? He doesn't really care about Almas. He's going for the NXT title, which really hurts the fact that they are going to announce later on in the show that Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong is going to take place at TakeOver. He's like, he just thinks that Almas is like a passover. I didn't really like that comment. It's good to have your aspiration to get the NXT title, but you've been here for 2 months, buddy. And just kind of pushing off his opponent at TakeOver. And he's supposed to be the face, so I don't really know how that works. But, yeah, I did not like that segment one bit. Ember Moon is backstage. Was kind of curious what she was going to say because I thought she was going to be the opponent at TakeOver San Antonio. And I was kind of wondering where she was going to fit into all this because she's been one of the hottest NXT divas, or not divas, women, in the last couple of months. Basically, she's asked, what are you going to do with the fact, how are you going to deal with the fact that there's 3 women challenging Asuka for the women's title? She says, you know what, she's going to let the battlefield die down a little bit, and whatever happens at TakeOver, she's going to face the winner of that. She wants to be the next contender after TakeOver. And Liv Morgan appears, and she says, you know what, Ember, you had my back when I was facing those bullies, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. And now I think I proved myself. I think I've gotten over the Asuka stuff. I've gotten over the bad stuff that is going on in the last couple of months. I want to face you in a match to see. They didn't really say this, but it's basically to be the number 1 contender for the women's title at TakeOver Orlando. And she wants to be the challenger. And they're gonna have that match next week. That was announced. So next week is gonna be Ember Moon versus Liv Morgan. Decent stuff. I like both women booked if they're booked correctly. Liv Morgan has not been booked correctly in the last couple of months, but I do like both women in their styles, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do at the show next week. I think I know who's going to win, but yeah. Tye Dillinger comes out. We've been seeing a couple of these video screens throughout the night asking Tye Dillinger is going to address his future in NXT. He says, you know what? 2016, I ended 2016 with a huge question mark. And when he says that, there's a bunch of chants of Royal Rumble number 10. Guys, NXT fans, shut up. I shouldn't say that, but don't get it in your head that you already know, because then WWE won't do it. All right. I want to see him be number 10. That'd be great. But he says, oh, well, he doesn't know what's next for him. He really doesn't know if he has it in him anymore to be the perfect 10. And everybody's like, oh, no. And he's like, well, Mr. Regal believed in me. You guys here tonight believed in me. The fans watching at home believed in me, and I let them down. I let them down. And Sanity comes out, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. I thought it was just going to be another beating for no reason, but it actually turned out to be pretty good. So EY comes out and says, you know what? Tye, you don't have it. You don't have it right now, but you can. You can join us if you make the right choices and if you are under the right guidance. So I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Alexander Wolf. Wolf takes the jacket, the last jacket of Sanity, because Sawyer Fulton was taken out of the group, and he's handing it to Tye Dillinger, like, will you join Sanity? And everybody's like, no, Tye, don't do it. And he drops the jacket over the ropes as to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to join your group. I'm not going to join whatever you have here. EY says, you know what? The right decision can feel wrong at first. We've always made that decision. I try to do it the fans' way, and you can do it our way to make yourself number one. You can be the perfect 10 again. And there's one great part where you're trying to see EY. He's trying to be convincing, right? He's trying to be in this persona of like, man, I really need to get you in here. But at the end, he just becomes aggressive, and he's like, I really understand. I'm not asking. So he's basically like, you're going to join my group. And Tye drops the jacket in front of him and goes, 10, and starts beating up Eric Young. He starts beating up Wolf, like, oh yeah, let's go. Back body drop, huge back body drop. I love that. Tye goes to the tiebreaker, and Big Damo spears Tye Dillinger. And I was like, oh my god. I knew, of course, they've been doing this storyline for a while where Damo's wanting to be in the group. So I was like, he has to be in here at some point, right? So yeah, Damo spears Tye, hits him with a spike pile driver, and then EY hands on the jacket. Damo holds it over and then puts it over his arm. So, yes, it looks like Damo is going to be joining Sanity in the group. And it is announced after commercial break that EY is going to be taking on Tye Dillinger at TakeOver. Very interested about that match. I was like, that's an interesting little matchup. I think both guys are very talented in the ring, for one. And it's got a nice little storyline, nice little connection to it. I think it'll be a nice match. So I'm interested to see that. I thought this was a pretty good segment overall. It asked the question what Tye Dillinger was going to do, because he's had a couple of losses under his belt in big-time situations here, and he needs to bounce back. And it's going to be interesting to see what's going on with Tye Dillinger, and if he wins this match, if he's going to be at the Royal Rumble, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting. TM61 versus Revival, baby. So, Rival started off hot. They're like, we're going to beat the crap out of this dude, because they're very aggressive after their loss against DIY last week. So they're going to basically beat the shit out of TM61. And they get that for a while. Thorne comes in. Thorne is in, and he tries to do his thing, but he gets cut off by the knee. What's his name? Nick Miller tries to come in and do his thing. They get a spine buster by Dash. That spine buster is amazing. It's almost double A Arn Anderson quality like. And the end of the match comes when Wilder is trying to get into the ring, and Thorne holds his feet, and Nick Miller rolls up Dawson for the victory. So yes, TM61 beat the Revival in a surprising, shocking fashion. And you're like, oh my god, the Revival are on a losing streak. Like, they're crazy. But then they're like, no, we're not going to have this. So immediately after the match, they start beating up both Shane Thorne and Nick Miller. They're beating the crap out of them, and they're basically going to take them out of commission. So they hit a shatter machine, and they do a stomp of the knee from the second rope to basically hurt Shane Thorne. This isn't kayfabe, but this is actually real. Shane Thorne has a something in his knee, and he's going to require several months off of television. So I don't know, he's going to have surgery or something, but this whole storyline is going to have to be derailed. So for now, they're going to probably go with this killer thing where they're just going to break everybody apart and wait until they can wait and make this a storyline when Thorne gets back. But they're going to have Revival just be like really pissed off from the last couple of weeks. So I thought that was pretty good. You're making the best of a situation that's really bad, because I feel bad for Shane Thorne. Get better, buddy, but Yeah, good stuff. I thought this was actually pretty enjoyable, and it was interesting to see what they're going to do with Revival now that they're out of the tag team title hunt. And yeah, maybe they'll go after more tag teams in the near future. Finally, we get I already talked about the Strong Almost match. We get our contract signing. William Regal is, of course, in the ring, and he introduces the two people that are going to be in the match for the NXT Championship at Takeover San Antonio. And they're going to be Bobby Roode challenging against Shinsuke Nakamura. Both men are in. Regal is cut off immediately by Roode, and he says, you know what? There's not going to be any fighting in the ring tonight in this contract signing like we usually do. Every single time you get a contract signing, you get a promo for about 10 minutes from both people. They stare at each other's faces. Then they go in. Somebody goes through a table. It always happens. We didn't get this tonight, so I like that. Roode says, you know what? We haven't had many conversations together, Shinsuke. We just really haven't talked a lot. But he knows Shinsuke's career. But it's not worth my time. And everybody's like, oh, it's not really worth the time of Bobby Roode to look into Shinsuke Nakamura. He brings over the TakeOver Dallas match where Shinsuke made his debut and Bobby Roode was sitting in the front row watching it. He had goosebumps the whole time. It was crazy. It was a great night. He says, you know what, Nakamura, you've made a name for yourself. You are the self-proclaimed king of strong style. You're a two-time NXT champion, but you have no style. You really don't. You got half a haircut. You got this thriller thing going on. Who are you, Nakamura? Who are you? And Nakamura cuts one of his better promos since getting in here in America. The thing is that you really have to take these ones lightly. You have to really take in the English, and he spoke pretty fluently, in my opinion. Nakamura says, you know what? He knew they were going to cross paths because Bobby's a great wrestler. You know, they're both great wrestlers. He makes the comment that he's a Japanese dog. I forgot what the name of the Japanese dog is, but you go search up on Twitter. It actually is very close. The thing is that Bobby Roode wants change, and nothing will get changed as long as Shinsuke Nakamura is the champion. Oh, this is funny. So Bobby Roode, in the middle of his promo of his next part, he talks about Japan. He's like, you know what? This is not the land with no talent. And I was like, oh, this has to be in relevance to the Japanese stuff that's been going on the last couple weeks. I thought that was funny. He's a box office draw. TakeOver is going to be an opportunity for them to make money because he's a box office draw. And he's an it factor of professional wrestling. By the way, that's a 2012 TNA reference, but I freaking love it. He says Nakamura is a joke. Nakamura is an absolute joke. But change is happening here in NXT. He's seen people in the back changing their T-shirts for suits. He's seen some of these people change their pathetic lives in the crowd and making a change for themselves to be like Bobby Roode. The final change is going to be when he's NXT champion and he will finally become glorious. And then, like, right before he says glorious, Nakamura puts his hand in Bobby Roode's face. And Nakamura is like, you know what, Bobby, you're one of the best. You're one of the best in the world. But you're not going to take my title. And he's going to kick his head off, and he's going to make it. And then, like, Bobby Roode has, like, a hissy face. He's like, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Because Nakamura is building up, and he's like, glorious. And they do a little stare off. Bobby Roode gets more aggressive with Nakamura. It's going to be like, oh, my God, I want to punch you so bad because you are the champion, and I want my change now. So I thought this was great. Bobby Roode can cut a promo like nobody's business. Nakamura is improving on the mic, which is fantastic. And these guys look like they're going to have a pretty kick-ass match at TakeOver. And I just like the fact that Bobby Roode knows all about Nakamura, but he wants his change in NXT, and Nakamura is going to keep fighting and use that hard, strong style to keep him in there. So I really like this last segment here between both guys. And it's good to see Nakamura is improving on that English. It's always good. So, yeah, that's going to do it for the NXT review. I thought the show was pretty decent. There was some things I really didn't like on the show. Let's go ahead and go segment by segment. I'll tell you what I liked. The Nikki Cross stuff was right at average. Didn't care for it, but I understand the meaning of it, so it was good. The No Way Jose stuff was bad because I don't care about Conor Reeves. Revival backstage was good. Really enjoyed the TM61 thing there. Roger Strong, Steve Cutler in the interview were bad because they diminished what Almas was talking about, and Roderick has no character. Ember and Liv backstage was good. Interested to see what happens next week. Tye Dillinger and Sanity, really good. Really interested to see how that goes along and what they got built up and planned up in the next couple of weeks with those guys. TM61 versus the Revival, good. Really interested to see what they do with the Revival. Of course, I obviously can't do much with TM61 because Shane Thorne is hurt, but the Revival could still be killers and monsters here in NXT as tag teams. They could be called up, so that's a good thing as well. And the contract signing was really, really good. Really interested to see the match at TakeOver, and I can't wait to see how these guys go in the ring. It's gonna be fantastic. So yeah, stay tuned for that review. We're gonna have me, Kevel, and Mitch. I know that wasn't correct English, but whatever. All three of us are going to be on the review for TakeOver San Antonio the night before Royal Rumble, which we'll all be on as well. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of wrestling that weekend. As for the channel, of course, if you like, before I get into that, before I get into that, if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video, Gronk spike the like button. Of course, comment below your thoughts on NXT. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Bottom Line View. We got a lot of content on the way. We're going to film our predictions for the NFC and AFC championship games tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. We're going to do the podcast with Kevel. So we're going to have to figure out a way to record both, but it'll be an interesting night. We're gonna have a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of days with football. We're gonna do Super Bowl reviews. When we find out our teams on Sunday, we'll start getting on the Super Bowl reviews and getting it done. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch some of those old Super Bowls. So stay tuned for that. Of course, Royal Rumble is on the way at January 29th and January 28th. You can check us out on NXT TakeOver. Of course, WrestleMania weekend is almost here. We are getting up and we're making a lot of videos before we get to the show, before we get to the weekend. It's going to be me, Mitch, Brett, and Mike. We're all going to be there at WrestleMania, so we're going to make a lot of videos before that and get you interested in there. A couple week podcasts before WrestleMania. For Mania, we're going to have a couple there, and we're going to have one at the hotel there. We're going to do a round table. Of course, check that out. We're going to do one. I'm going to do a Royal Rumble before this year's Rumble happens, so I want you guys to stay tuned for that. And there's so much content on the way. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe, because we love you all, and we appreciate every single one of you for subscribing to the channel. It's Dylan from the Bottom Line View. I've talked way too much, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.